April 10, 1979, with Tanzanian forces closing in on Kampala, former President Idi Amin escaped from his Cape Town villa home in Luzira at about 4 p.m. by helicopter to Jinja. In Jinja, he addressed the public before making his final trip to Arua town. Idi Amin was still in the capital city until that afternoon, despite the first bombs landing in Kampala early that morning and intensifying around midday. Kampala was shelled by the Tanzanian and Ugandan exile forces from less than 20 kilometers from the Mpigi area, mid-south of Kampala, while the infantry entered the city. As the forces closed in on Kampala, they blocked all access routes from the capital to the west, including the northern route. Yoweri Museveni, who led the Front for National Salvation Forces, FRONASA, was supposed to block the Guru Arua Highway near Karuma Bridge, but he got there late. They later engaged the government forces in the Pakwach Bridge battle, which they won. The only route left to flee Kampala was through the east, leading to Jinja. The enemy forces were advancing towards Kibuye, Wandajia, and Mulago suburbs of Kampala. Time was running out for Idi Amin. Shelling of Kampala started the day before the city fell to the enemy forces on April 11, 1979. On April 10, 1979, the enemy reached Kibuye, Wandajia, and Makerere areas and blocked the roads leading to Hoima and Arua from Kampala. Idi Amin escaped from his Cape Town villa to Jinja by helicopter. Idi Amin left Kampala less than 8 hours to April 11, 1979, the day Kampala fell to the enemy forces. The Tanzanian army pushed the Ugandan army from Musaka up to Mpigi, forcing most people to desert. The helicopter that evacuated Idi Amin was sighted flying at a very low altitude, possibly from Entebbe Airport, and landed at Idi Amin's home. It took off after a few minutes towards the eastern direction to Jinja, flying at a low altitude. It was around 4 p.m. According to eyewitness reports, the Tanzanians shot at it but failed to hit their target. The shots came from the Bukasa area near Muyenga Hill, directly opposite the Murchison Bay prison. The Ugandan airspace was a no-fly zone at the time. Only the president's plane was allowed in the Ugandan airspace. The Ugandan airspace was closed to international and local flights with the exception of prior notifications. This was in accordance to the March 25, 1979 curfew declaration. Any plane that violated Uganda's airspace risked being shot down without any prior warning. In Jinja, Idi Amin addressed soldiers and civilians at the Hotel Crested Crane, located on the right side after you have crossed the Jinja Bridge. It was established that there was a state lodge below the Crested Crane Hotel on Wilson Road above Jinja Golf Course, where it is believed Idi Amin could have landed and went to address the gathering at the hotel. In a nutshell, he tried to persuade the people to go back and fight the enemy who had invaded their country. Some ignored, while some soldiers did. Some saw no reason to continue fighting as the war had already been lost. Some knew that Idi Amin was fleeing to Arua, so they waited. When he left, they also continued to Mbali, Soroti, Lira, Karuma, and finally to Pakwach in the West Nile. Idi Amin left Kampala a day before the announcement of the end of his government was made. The former commanding officer of the Mountains of the Moon Brigade informed that Idi Amin addressed them from Jinja Barracks and told them to go and regroup in Arua and reorganize to fight the enemy. Former commanding officer of the Eastern Brigade based in Mbali, Lieutenant Colonel Abdul Latif Tiwa, told a reporter from his home in Arua municipality that Amin passed Mbale town on April 10, 1979 on his way to Arua. Two days earlier, Idi Amin had come to assess the situation at Tororo Barracks after he had been attacked by the enemy. In Arua town, Amin is reported to have visited his private house that borders the Arua airfield. From there, by radio message, he called on all retreating soldiers to assemble at the airfield. According to Sergeant Alai, these were some of the final words of Amin. The gun you are holding is now your father, mother, sister, brother, and everything. Don't ever surrender it to anyone. I am going to Libya to get some support and come back to fight. Be strong and keep Arua well until I come back. The fall of Kampala was announced by the Kikosi Malum commander, Lieutenant Colonel David Oyite Ojok. Idi Amin was at his house in Arua listening to Radio Uganda together with other soldiers. That was April 11, 1979, soon after Tanzanian forces and Ugandan exiles had overrun Kampala.
Fellow countrymen, I am Lieutenant Colonel David Oyite Ojok. I bring you good news. On behalf of the Uganda National Liberation Front, we have today, Wednesday 11th April 1979, captured the Ugandan capital of Kampala. From today, the racist, fascist and illegal regime of dictator Idi Amin is no longer in power. We ask all the masses of Uganda to rise up and join hands in eliminating the few remaining murderers, looters and rapists still at large. We appeal to all the peace-loving people of the world to support the People's Liberation Cause and condemn the former racist regime. We order all the soldiers who have not yet surrendered to do so immediately. Lastly, we ask all the residents in Kampala to remain calm and stay indoors. Please stay tuned for further announcements. I say this for God and my country.
When the announcement was made on radio that Idi Amin's government had fallen, Amin handed over responsibility to Major General Isaac Lumago. After addressing the soldiers, Amin, dressed in a military uniform with his bodyguards, family members, and others boarded a C-130 military jet sent by former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi and left. Former Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Abdul Hamid Kamuleji Ajumba Mazagazi, was amongst the entourage that flew with Amin to exile. It was reported that while in transit from Arua airfield to Tripoli in Libya, there was hardly any conversation between the passengers. They went direct to Libya and Gaddafi, their host, was not at the airport to receive them. Idi Amin fled Uganda on the afternoon of April 12, 1979, never to return again. He died on August 16, 2003 in exile in Saudi Arabia of multiple organ failure in a hospital in Saudi Arabia. Idi Amin, who was variously described as 78 or 80 years old, had been in a coma at King Faisal Specialist Hospital in the Red Sea port city of Jeddah since July 18, 2003.